The Faith of Abraham, Genesis 15:6, Part 1 of 2. Introduction 1. One of the greatest men in history has to be the patriarch Abraham. Three generations look to him as their spiritual progenitor: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. B. Christians view him as the father of all of them that believe. Romans 4:11. 2. What is most noteworthy about Abraham was his faith. Paul made reference to his faith time and again. Romans 4:3, 9, 11, 16 through 22, and Galatians 3:7 through 9. B. James used him as an example to illustrate saving faith. James 2:21 through 23. 3. Both Paul and James make reference to the following Old Testament statement about Abraham's faith. And he believed in the Lord, and he accounted it to him for righteousness. Genesis 15:6, Romans 4:3, and James 2:23. What was it about Abraham's faith that so pleased God? Do we have the same kind of faith? Let's take a closer look at the faith of Abraham. Abraham's faith was based on revelation. God revealed himself to Abraham. 1. In Ur of the Chaldees, Acts 7:2 through 4, and Genesis 15:7. 2. At Haran of Mesopotamia, Genesis 12:1 through 4. 3. At Shechem in Canaan, Genesis 12:6 through 7. 4. After Lot moved to Sodom, Genesis 13:14 through 17. 5. And many times more, Genesis 15:1 through 7, 17:1 through 27, 18:1 through 33, and 22:1 through 19. By revealing himself to Abraham, God provided Abraham ample evidence for him to place his faith and trust in God. B. Our faith must be based upon revelation. 1. Not that God reveals himself to us as he did to Abraham. 2. But faith comes through the Word of God. Romans 10:17. It contains evidence that we might believe. John 20:30 through 31. B. The more we read, the more God is revealed to us, especially in the person of his Son, Jesus Christ. If we desire to have the faith of Abraham, we must be receptive to God's revelation of himself through his word. Next, it is important to note that Abraham's faith was an obedient faith. By faith, Abraham obeyed God. 1. He left his country, Hebrews 11:8. 2. He sojourned in a foreign land, Hebrews 11:9 through 10. 3. He offered his son Isaac, Hebrews 11:17, and James 2:21 through 24. Abraham's faith was not a dead faith, James 2:20 and 26, but a dynamic faith expressing itself in obedience. B. By faith, we must obey God. 1. For the gospel calls for obedience to the faith, Romans 1:5 and 16:25 and 26. 2. We must obey from the heart the doctrine of Christ, Romans 6:17. 3. Woe to those who do not obey the gospel, 2 Thessalonians 1:7 through 9, and 1 Peter 4:17. If we desire to have the faith of Abraham, we must have a faith that works through love, Galatians 5:6. While works are an essential element of a saving faith, it is crucial to note that it is the faith behind the works that pleases God, not the works per se. Therefore, we point out that Abraham's faith was a trusting faith. Abraham trusted in God, not his works. 1. Return to our text and note what is said in Genesis 15:6. Abraham believed in the Lord. His faith, was reckoned or considered for righteousness. It was Abraham's faith in God that greatly pleased God. 2. Paul stresses this point in his epistle to the Romans, Romans 4:1-3. Abraham was not justified because of his works. Abraham was justified, declared blameless, because of his faith. Though he had a faith that works, he did not trust in his works, rather in God who justifies the ungodly. Romans 4:5-8. We must trust in Jesus, not our works. 1. As noted before, we must obey God, which involves certain works. Such as faith, which is a work. John 6:28-29. Even baptism, which is more a work of God than a work of man. Colossians 2:12-13. 2. When all is done, we must not put our trust in our obedience. As though we somehow earned our salvation. For Christ taught us to realize we are still unworthy. Luke 17:10. It is faith or trust in Jesus, prompting us to obey, that pleases God, not some meritorious value of the work done to receive God's grace. The end of part 1 of 2.